The following episode of the Comics and Crypto podcast is for informational purposes only, and anything expressed by the hosts or their guests is solely their opinion. This podcast does not constitute financial advice, and anyone wishing to invest should seek their own independent financial or professional help. Have fun and enjoy the show.
Hi, I'm Sean O'Hare, and I know comics.
Hi, I'm Spencer Vogel, and I know crypto.
Hi, I'm Kevin Lee Loader, and I don't know shit. This is the Comics and Crypto podcast.
Comics and crypto, crypto and comics, collector's world in a digital age. Comics and crypto, crypto and comics, it's where the next billionaires will be made. It's comics and crypto.
Matt, hey!
Hey, what's going on?
What's going on, guys? Good to see you.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, life's good. Life's good. I'm just excited to be on the podcast today. It's amazing what you guys do. I appreciate the education you provide.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thanks so
Thank you.
much. And I'm loving your sign in the background. That Marvel sign is awesome. Is that lit in the
Sick.
Oh,
background?
Yeah, that's Jim from Twisted Steel in Fallon, Nevada. He's just a
Wow.
wonderful guy. He made that by hand, and very talented.
That's awesome.
incredible.
Wow, big shout out to him. And speaking of background, what's your background? What's your background as a comic collector?
Yeah, so back in the 90s when Valiant and Image were going crazy and Superman was about to die, my dad after baseball games took me to the comic store, and sometimes I get baseball cards, but most of the time I'd get comic books.
That's awesome. And so you've been collecting for a while.
Yeah, I've been collecting for a long time, gone through many phases. I had hundreds and hundreds of comics. I know there's some guys who have thousands. Had that collection for about 20 years. And then actually sold it all when I moved from Florida here to Nevada. And I shouldn't say I sold it all. I kept my two most favorite comic books, Silver Surfer number 50 and the Hulk number 400. Those still are ungraded, still raw comics. But when I got here, I started taking a little bit different approach. I started focusing on historical brand emblems. After doing some research, the little emblems popped out, and in 2019, I created a new cataloging system called the Universal Comic Guide Catalog, which actually documented which of these brand emblems came first. And I've been working with CGC and CBCS and PGX and really documenting this I look at it as historical preservation. So
I love that. That's awesome. And do you collect anything else outside of comics?
yeah, actually, you probably can't see it. It's right up there. Vintage 1940s World War II Jeep art. So I also manage the local Nevada Jeep Club. We've got about 1,500 members, and that club keeps growing. So it's fun. It's fun to collect. I think just history in general, it kind of defines us as a culture. There's a reason why these type of things are so popular, and one other element I can mention is a local museum here is going to be showcasing the first set of 8 Marvel brand emblems. So finalized the loan documentation today. So my goal with that set of Marvel brand emblems is to have that showcase the country. Literally, there's only 4 copies in the world. So it's kind of nice to be able to showcase that for kids, on school trips. They get to go to the museum and then get to see some iconic comics, such as the first Marvel comic book ever in history with a Marvel brand logo, a Marvel magazine right there. Literally, you can see on it, it says up here in the corner, little bright, first Marvel brand emblem and the first Marvel magazine logo. This was actually, Stan Lee was the editor of this. This was the first comic, Willie's comic number 5 of this series. The comic before that is Ideal Comics number 4, and they only put this logo on 34 comics. So
This is actually a perfect transition to our topic today. Could you tell us a little bit about your discovery?
yeah, sure. So I'd been looking at a lot of the different just golden age, really historical comics. Like Amazing Fantasy 15, the first Amazing Spider-Man, Tales of Suspense number 39, the first Incredible Hulk, and I noticed the same thing. They all had the first MC logo. They had the MC logo on it. So the MC logo was first showcased on Journey into Mystery number 69. Now, the thing that's funny, and I'm glad I'm on this show, there's only 50 of these. Nope, I take that back. There's 60 of these graded in the world. And currently there's like 4 or 5 on eBay. Pretty affordable. But when you think about it, from the stance of, say, Amazing Spider-Man number 300 that has like 30,000 graded. I mean, this from 1961, this is the first comic book with the MC logo right there. And it's smudged. It's pushed together. All the other ones, they separated it. So in essence, the first one was a mistake. But literally it was just going over comics and finding these emblems really rare, but just fascinating, because it was the comic companies who said these are important to us. And in the 1940s, there was an explosion in comics. In the beginning, they didn't put logos. It wasn't really until the 1940s, and most of the companies, it wasn't until 44, 45 that they actually started differentiating themselves from one another.
What was the process like of, going back and identifying each of these brand emblems? Because I imagine it was probably pretty difficult to find all this information.
Yeah. So in the beginning, I found a website called comics.org. The information is relatively accurate. I've probably done over 1,000 hours of research on. Wow. I just completed another 21 companies. So total, I've documented now 35 different companies with over 75 first brand emblems. And I'd be honored to be able to show you guys what I have here. But to get back to your question, with comics.org, I started organizing by date and then really going through and tracking. They missed a lot of comics with the logos, but they had a bunch of comics that had them. So in essence, I would write them all down, then go into the Copyright Office's database and write down all their copyright dates. And so the system, the Universal Comic Guide Catalog system that I created, is based off copyright as being the main delineator, then publication date, and then alphabetical order. And that system was validated by an archivist, Joshua Nunez in LA. And that is accurate to an academic standard. While working with CGC, they decided they wanted to go just with the LOC dates, the copyright dates, which is Matt Nelson's prerogative. He's allowed to do whatever he wants. He's the leader of the most renowned grading company in the world for comics. And so you're going to see that there's a few number one issues, such as with even this Journey into Mystery being the first MC logo, the same copyright date and the same publication date, Patsy Walker number 95 had those same dates. But the alphabetical order defines this clearly as the number one. And that's validated for digital records. And it's validated from an academic standard. So it is what it is. I know that using the Copyright Office and comics.org to help kind of identify, it made a world of a difference. And it was nice to it was nice for me. I felt like I was finding treasure. I was finding gold, to be able to say, I have the first Marvel comic in the world that has a Marvel logo, and there's literally 12 that I know of in the world. That's pretty cool. And to be blessed to have multiple copies.
Oh,
this is CBCS, and it says on it clearly from the collection of Matt Bruback. And I only submitted 6 comics. That was how important Wes Steffen thought this was to put in the collection of Matt Bruback. So I do have a copy coming from PGX, and the museum has asked me to provide a photo for the exhibit. And so what I'm going to do is have CGC, CBCS, and PGX. Oh, and that will be the photo, just because I feel like we're changing history. And as Matt Nelson said, this truly is a new market driver, and I'm excited to be a part of it. And because I've always loved the comics industry, and in my mind, I'm not an expert. may be an expert in the cataloging of this, but Matt Nelson's an expert. Wes Steffen's an expert. Sean, you're an expert. I'm just honored to be a part of this.
What was the experience like, I guess, working with Matt Nelson and CGC and, all these grading companies? Like, what was it that, got them so excited about this and, make them want to, change their labels for it?
After I sent an email to CGC, I heard back pretty quickly from Matt Nelson. And he quickly informed me that back in the 90s, he wrote an article on DC logos and the transition of the logos. And it was from that time, he was like, wow, this is fascinating. I really really wish I knew about the LOC dates. And we just hit it off immediately. It truly felt like kind of divine. You have that experience where you're like, I'm hoping he gets it. Because obviously in comics, it's about first logo. I mean, it's been about first armors, first appearances, first cameos, first villains. I mean, you name it, it's always about first. I mean, that's really what holds the values of these comics up. So to be able to share with him my passion that I found with the brand Emblems, and for him to have that as well, he was very thankful for the information and the fact that it was validated by an archivist. I mean, there's a lot of information, and this took years to compile. It was very, at times, I have to say, I mean, I sat down for months at a time going through stuff, and then I'd find something else. I was like, what the heck? How'd that happen, And so I'd like to say it's perfect, but I'm human. And I think with Matt Nelson reviewing it, Wes Steffen reviewing it, Wes Steffen actually caught a really good mistake that I made.
Oh, really?
I give Wes, it was the third comic book that had an Atlas Comics logo. There's actually a tie for third, and for some reason it's not anywhere that I'm just so glad I had him review it, And so I think they all received it very well. And I'm very thankful for that.
So within each brand, I guess there's multiple firsts, right? That's kind of how it's set up. So you'll have or maybe not multiple firsts, but you'll have the first, second, and third of a specific logo. But then that logo changes over time, and so as that logo changes over time, it then becomes a new first of the new logo. Correct? Correct.
That is correct. Yeah, and I can give you an example here. So I have the first Dell logo in history. This was in 1942. There's literally only 20 of these graded in the world. This was a little emblem, the Dell publication emblem right there. This was actually 4-color comic number 11, wash tubs. This was actually a bunch of comic strips. So this wasn't an original comic. This was just a reproduction of comic strips from the 1940s. And then Dell switched to Santa Claus Funnies number 2, which had a Dell magazine logo. That's the first Dell magazine logo. Literally, there's 6 of these in the world, and this is the highest grade at a 6. I think when we start talking about these different kind of comics, what I notice is, there's a bunch of comics that have 30 or 40 or 50 9.8s or 9.6s. I think in the future, if anyone can just get a hold of one of these, they're blessed. I'll give you another example. Terry Toons, number 17. It's the first Atlas Comics logo, blue logo. There's 3 of these in the world that are graded currently. And I found this the other day. So you nice. Can find them. This one looks good. But the inside pages are roached. They are bad. This one, the highest grade in the world is a 5. This one will grade out at probably a 5.5. So I'm thinking I may have found, because it's white pages. I'm shocked. Even though the other one looks better, this other copy I found has some smudges, but the inside is like brand new. It's really shocking.
So where are you finding these right now? Where have you been looking?
So I find them all over the place. Google I like Google. Google's great. I typically go to eBay. That's been my comic book place of choice. Heritage Auctions is really, really good. And like I said, the first set of the 8 Marvel brand emblems is going to auction in June with Heritage Auctions.
Oh, cool.
I have no idea what it's going to sell for. I just know there's 4 sets in the world. CGC is about to come out with a video that documents the first 14 companies and 40 logos. Matt Nelson says it's in the queue.
So I guess I'd say now is time to strike before, I guess, this information becomes more, publicized. It sounds like a lot of people don't really know about this yet. And once CGC starts promoting it, once you have this big auction happening in June with Heritage, I think that's when kind of people start seeing the value of these things, right?
Oh, 100%. And if it's okay, I'd like to show you, there's a couple books that you can, that your guests, your viewers could actually go get today. One of them is this copy of Bugs Bunny number 86. There's 15 copies in the world graded. It's the first gold key logo, first brand emblem of gold key. And there's 18 copies people can buy online for like $20. So it's insane. Wow. Like I didn't want to, I want to promote this. I don't want to buy up everything in the market. So this is to me gold. If you've got $20, this, Bugs Bunny, I love it. Showtime, because I play.
Yeah, it's a cool cover.
Yeah. And I just, Showtime. All right, go get them, boys. Then there's, let me see. Then there's 2 other ones. This is Valiant. So obviously Valiant's first logo.
Wow. Oh, cool.
Captain N, Game Master, a number 1. You can buy a 7 grade right now on eBay for $70. So you can buy a 9.6 for $200, which I'm looking at. So maybe save that for me, please.
Shouldn't have told us.
Well, you guys can get it too. Ideally, I'd like the 9.8. There's not a lot of 9.8s. But this one, I think everyone already has, because they're like 1,000 copies graded. But this is the first Image Eye logo that came out. And so I think the Youngblood number 1, I think that'll take off. And by the way, Spawn number 1 is the second logo of that first Eye Image logo. And I'm starting to notice it because, as you know, McFarlane just had a big signing, so everybody's having their stuff graded that's been signed, and it all has the new logo information on it.
Oh, cool.
Nice. Which is pretty cool. And then this one, which is just going to explode. There's only 15 copies of these in the world. Uncle Scrooge, number 281. I don't think there's any more copies available on eBay. But
it's because I bought both of them.
And there you go. And literally 15 copies in the world. This is the first Marvel and Disney logo combined. So I can't, this is the 100th anniversary of Disney. Like, I hope this podcast just blows up. I hope you guys get to share this and showcase it. And, it's fun. And who doesn't like Reese's Pieces, on the back.
Nice. That's a cool ad. Yeah.
Nice little ad there. And so, yeah, I think those comics, everybody could grab. They're up there, except the Marvel and Disney logo. So thanks, Spencer, for that one.
Yeah.
You'll just have to let everybody know how much you sell it for. That's all.
Of course.
It's so interesting within comic books. When comic books first started being graded, first it was just about grading, and then they found ways to differentiate value with newsstand variants, Canadian price variants. We just had Ashley, who's the head of comic strategy at Golden, on our show, and he was talking about European variants, which he thinks are incredibly undervalued, and some of them possibly came up before the first prints in America. So there's a lot of opportunity here, and I'm so happy that you're able to come on the podcast and enlighten us with this, because I think there's tremendous opportunity, and people are going to be really excited about it.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's kind of one of the issues. So as I mentioned, I've combined 35 different company logos. I've already penciled in 17 new additional logos that I'm working on. Wow. It'll be months until that gets hammered out. But most of those are companies that are really Canadian companies. And it's hard to identify which, because their copyright system is different than ours. And so I'm working to try to figure out that, because that's a great point, Sean. I would love to be able to see if that point is valid in regards to which comic came out first. Was it the Canadian version or was it the American version?
Mhm.
I know that in regards to, this is a part of my newest set that I just submitted to Matt Nelson for review. I already had it reviewed by the archivist. That the DC Bullet logo, if you look at comics.org, the first one ends up being a Batman comic, but at least that's the image that they have, right? And if you look online, it doesn't exist. So what is that, right? And so I did a thorough research and found out that that was actually a reprint. And there's very small reprint of it. So that was not the first logo, the DC Bullet logo. And so those are the kind of things I'm having to contest with, which, you know, to me, spending the time and being accurate is more valuable to the comic community than just trying to rush something to market. I don't think that benefits anybody.
Definitely. Yeah. Especially if it's going on the label, because people make decisions based off of that. So,
yeah. 100%. Yeah. If it's okay, I have a few additional comics I'd like to show you.
Yeah, please.
Yeah,
okay?
please.
All right. So one of my favorites here is Wilbur Comics number 7. There's 13 of these comics in the world graded, and this is the first Archie Comics logo in history.
Cool.
And so it's really cool. It's kind of a combination of the MLJ comics. This was really that was the precursor, and this is what we have now as the Archie. So this is the first Archie Comics logo in history. And just a really cool comic. I'm lucky to have this in an 8. This was hard for me to find. So I'm curious to see this will be a part of that heritage auction set. I actually have the first, second, and third. The second logo, well, the second of this logo is Archie Comics number 19, and the third logo is Pep Comics number 56. So that's the third. So it'll be the first, second, and third of the first logo.
If everybody out there who isn't familiar with Archie, Archie's a really popular comic book, and especially the first one. The first one especially sells for a really, really high premium. I mean, I think there's only 185. It's the highest grade, and it sold for like almost $200,000 back in 2011. So that gives people an idea, context of what it is you're just talking about right now, which is a really big deal.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It's really hard to wrap my head around, you know, why me? That's kind of what pops in my head, because I think you're right. I think once the word gets out, first off, the rarity, you know, and then the historical significance in the comic world. This one right here is Green Hornet Comics, number 30. This is the first Harvey emblem, Harvey Comics logo. It's Harvey publication H with wings and eagles. So has the wings and the eagles. And so I think with CGC, they have this as one of 3 firsts. So the second one, which these really in order with the Universal Comic Guide catalog would be 1, 2, and 3. But because of just CGC going by the copyright date, here's Nutty Comics, number 4. 2 in the world graded. I'm lucky to have 1. I have one other one. I'm trying to put together a set, a complete set of Harvey to sell. But this one's a 6.5. My other one is Beyond Roached. It'll be lucky to be a 0.5. But it's just, to me, I look at it as the historical significance. And then also you got the guy Tidy Whitey's in the back. I mean, you can't beat that. That's pretty solid. And then the third one, which classifies as the first as well, is Speed Comics number 43. A really cool robot cover. You know, where we're going with AI and all that kind of stuff. We're going to look back and just go, wow, those guys were so ahead of their time. The artists, and to me, that's another element, I think, of preserving the historical brand emblems, is that it really is honoring the companies, the artists, and the writers. I mean, this goes really deep, I think, into just the culture and how these brands wanted to identify themselves. Let me see. I have one more comic that is currently available on eBay that I wanted to show everyone. Georgie Comics. So this is the second Marvel logo, Marvel Group. This is the second comic of the second logo. There's only 15 comics in the world that have this logo. It's on eBay right now. You can buy it probably for about $100.
Nice, good tip.
Thank you, gentlemen. I do appreciate it.
Absolutely. and Matt, if people want to reach out and they had questions and want to contact you, what would be the best way to do that?
I came to the conclusion that I should probably do a 5 or 10 minute segment on each brand emblem. It's called The Logo Detective. So they could reach out to me on Facebook, send an email to thelogodetective@gmail.com. I do have the YouTube channel I just created. Hopefully this will be the first video that gets up on that channel. Maybe I can drive you guys some additional traffic if I could get permission for that. That would be great.
And then is the list publicly available for people to see right now of all the comics and where they fall?
No. Yeah, currently it's not. So what I'm trying to do with the list of comics is I would like CGC to add it to their website. That way it's in, if I get run over by a bus and all these domains go down, then it's forever safe within the comic community. And so that way any comic collector who would like to identify these, because originally that was one of my main focuses, was I wanted to be able to bring awareness about these specific comics so that we could educate people about them. I'm just trying to figure out the right way to do that. The goal is to truly get it into the hands of everybody. How that happens, I need to have a conversation with Matt Nelson. And I do believe getting him on the same page and then getting CBCS and PGX will make sure that these comics forever hold their value.
That's amazing. And have an endorsement from literally the biggest grading companies in the world. That's just, that's fantastic.
He kindly, the back of every single one, he couldn't make it a collection, but he signed a sticker on the back of it.
That's awesome. I just put it in there. That's cool.
That's so cool. One of the biggest things for us too that we love to promote is having an opportunity to invest something that's low level of entry but big potential upside, and this is definitely in that category. In our opinion, not financial advice.
Of course.
Yeah. I think there's one more comic I want to share. Is that all right?
Sure.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Okay. This is the first, actually two more. This is the first Charlton comic.
Oh, cool. Nice.
Logo, Charlton Magazine, 1946. There's 3 in the world graded. So if you have one of these Jack in the Box comics, number 11, this is going to be dramatically. I think this is in my mind. I don't know why. I just feel like this is going to be huge someday. And then this is the second Charlton Comics. This is Racket Squad in Action number 10. And there's only 3 of these graded in the world. So I would love to one day see these both up at 50 comics graded. And so we can preserve these for the next generation.
Thank you so much for coming on today, Matt. And we'll make sure to include all those links down in the details below for everybody. So including your email. So if they want to reach out and have any questions, they can do so.
That's awesome. Thank you guys. Thank you so much for having me on.
Absolutely. We look forward to having you on again.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Let's do it again.
Awesome. See you, Matt.
Yeah. Y'all be well. Bye for now.